The sun slipped behind the Los Angeles skyline, staining the glass towers in shades of molten gold and apricot haze. Inside a 27th-floor apartment on Hill Street, the air was still heavy with that faint metallic chill that lingers after the air conditioning shuts off. Detective Renee Calder stepped across the threshold and paused. Her polished shoes whispered over the marble floor. The apartment was immaculate, every book aligned, every cushion symmetrical, every plant watered. It looked like a place that should still have laughter echoing through it. Yet what lingered was silence, the kind that hums with memory. She set her folder on the counter, scanning the space the way only seasoned detectives do, not just for evidence, but for feeling. A half-burned candle on the table. A single mug, lipstick stained. A notebook with the initials ML pressed into its leather cover. Outside the wide glass windows, the city shimmered with life, car headlights weaving patterns below, the sound of faint sirens carried by the wind. To anyone else, Los Angeles was beautiful tonight. To Renee, it was breathing secrets. She walked to the window and looked out, her reflection merging with the skyline. A woman in control, but tonight, her eyes held fatigue, the kind that comes from seeing too many lives end too soon. There would be questions, headlines, outrage. But before all that came one unspoken truth. This story had begun long before the refrigerator door had closed for the last time. Renee drew in a breath and whispered to no one, "Let's start from the beginning." 2 months earlier, the world still sparkled for Marina Lopez. Every morning she woke to the rhythmic buzz of her phone, emails, brand deals, new followers, messages from people who told her they wanted to be her. She'd smile at the screen, post something beautiful, and remind herself that happiness could be curated if you were disciplined enough. Marina was 30, glowing, and pregnant without yet knowing. She modeled for lifestyle brands, wellness pages, and a handful of small-run fashion lines that loved her aesthetic, effortless, golden, aspirational. She lived alone in that same apartment where the city looked like a postcard. Her friends teased that she was too trusting, too quick to see kindness in others. Maybe they were right. When she met Marcus Hale, she mistook intensity for passion. He'd appeared at an art opening in Silver Lake, tall, with the posture of someone who believed in the inevitability of his own success. His dark hair was slicked neatly back, his navy suit cut too sharply to be casual. When he smiled at her across the gallery floor, it was as though he already knew the ending. They talked about paintings, about the way Los Angeles light made everything feel cinematic. He told her he managed investments for high-net-worth clients, though his tone made it sound more romantic than mathematical. By the end of the night, she had given him her number. Over the next week, he texted constantly. Compliments turned into plans, plans turned into late nights that bled into morning. His apartment, all chrome and shadow, smelled faintly of sandalwood. Marina felt small but safe there, or maybe just flattered to be the object of his focus. The first time he took a photo of her, he said, "You don't even need filters. You're real." It was the kindest thing she'd heard in months. But that same night, when she posted a picture with a friend, he sent a text that read, "Who's the guy?" She laughed. "A client shoot. Relax." He replied, "I just like knowing who gets to look at you." She thought it was cute, possessive in that cinematic way romance movies always make seem exciting. She didn't know that fascination could harden into control so quickly. By the 5th day, Marcus had learned her schedule, not by accident but by design. He'd drop by her shoots with coffee, appear outside her gym just passing by, and send goodnight messages before she could type one herself. Marina's friends noticed the shift. Her once bubbly updates grew muted. She started canceling dinners, explaining that Marcus didn't do crowds. When she finally confided in her best friend Carter Vaughn, she tried to make it sound funny. "His protective. You'd think I'm the crown jewels." Carter frowned. "Protective or paranoid?" Marina laughed. "Don't be dramatic." Still, a seed of unease had sprouted in her chest. Then, the pregnancy test. A white stick, a faint line, and the dizzying realization that her life had just split into before and after. She told Marcus that evening, expecting hesitation, maybe confusion. What she got was silence, long, cold, evaluative silence. He stared at her across the dim living room, the Los Angeles lights flickering through half-drawn curtains. "Are you sure?" he finally said. "Yes." Another pause. "You didn't plan this." "I didn't think I had to." He exhaled sharply, rubbing his temples. "You can't just spring this on me, Marina. Do you know what this means for me? For my business?" She blinked. "For you." He turned away. "I just need time." That night, she lay awake beside him, realizing for the first time how thin the air felt in his presence. Weeks later, the warmth was gone. Marcus's texts had become demands. Where are you? Who's that in your story? Why aren't you answering? Marina began to feel like she lived inside a shrinking circle. Her social accounts went quiet. The curated perfection cracked. One evening, she showed up at Carter's apartment, shoulders tight, eyes glossy. "I think he's following me," she whispered. Carter sat her down, voice firm but kind. "Then you need to cut him off completely." "I tried. He shows up everywhere." Carter helped her file a harassment report. Brief, bureaucratic, just one more in the LAPD's overflowing system. Marina changed her locks and numbers. But Marcus had already memorized her patterns. Soon, Carter began getting calls from an unknown number. At first, static. Then whispers, "You think she's safe with you?" She told Marina, who laughed nervously. "Maybe it's a prank." But neither of them truly believed that. On October 9th, Marina texted, "I'm going to talk to him one last time, to end it right." Carter begged her not to. The message marked read 7:44 p.m. It was the last time anyone saw Marina alive. The investigation fell to Detective Renee Calder. She reviewed Marina's last calls, her texts, her bank statements. Marcus's name surfaced everywhere: transfers, receipts, tracking notifications. His alibi, a supposed meeting in Santa Monica, collapsed when GPS data placed him within a mile of Marina's building. When Renee met him, he was polite, confident, even charming. "It's a misunderstanding," he said smoothly. She was unstable. You know how people online can be. Renee had met enough predators to recognize when guilt masqueraded as calm. She leaned forward. "You said you loved her." He smiled faintly. "Love's complicated." She was pregnant. His jaw twitched. "That's what she said." Renee's pen paused over her notepad. "And if she lied?" He shrugged. "Then I guess we both wanted different things." Outside the interview room, Renee watched him through the glass, still, coiled, dangerous in his serenity. She'd seen people snap from obsession before, but this was something else. This was premeditated possession disguised as affection. The trial began nearly a year later. By then, Marina's name had become a symbol, the influencer who trusted the wrong man. The courthouse steps swarmed with cameras. Renee walked past them silently. She'd learned that justice never needed a spotlight. Inside, Carter Vaughn took the stand. Her hands trembled as she described the nights of fear, the whispered calls, the final message. Her voice cracked only once. She just wanted to love someone. She didn't deserve this. The jury watched Marcus carefully. He didn't flinch. His expression stayed composed, his gaze occasionally drifting toward Renee, as though daring her to misinterpret him. The defense claimed mental instability, delusional attachment syndrome. The prosecution called it what it was: control. Outside, strangers held candles for Marina. Online, her followers shared old videos where she talked about self-love and safety, unaware of the irony those clips now carried. Renee sat through every session, notebook in hand. What she saw in Marcus wasn't madness. It was the hollow logic of entitlement. The final day came with grey skies and a packed gallery. When prosecutors projected the timeline, texts, transfers, the last GPS pings, the jury's faces hardened. Every detail painted Marcus as a man who couldn't bear losing control. Renee watched him as the verdict was read, guilty of first-degree murder. His expression barely changed. If anything, he looked relieved to have an ending. Afterward, she visited Marina's apartment one last time. It had been cleaned, repainted, leased again, but it felt unchanged, the air still holding whispers of what once was. She stood before the refrigerator, new, gleaming, humming softly, and exhaled. "You're free now," she said. Outside, the city glowed in twilight again, unaware, indifferent, alive. A year later, autumn swept through Pennsylvania. Leaves drifted across the parking lot of the assisted living facility where Carter Vaughn worked night shifts. She'd left Los Angeles behind, but the memories clung softly to her, Marina's laugh echoing from the phone speaker, the way she'd say, "We're going to be okay." Carter wore the bracelet Marina had once given her, silver, initials ML etched beneath the shine. Some nights, between changing linens and making tea for residents, she'd pause by the window, the bracelet cool against her skin, and whisper, "You're remembered." Far away, in Los Angeles, Detective Renee Calder closed another case file. Her city was filled with beginnings disguised as endings. Yet, every time she looked at the skyline, she thought of Marina, of the danger of love that burns too fast, too bright, and leaves nothing but silence. And in that silence, Renee heard what most people never do, the quiet promise that stories like this one should never have to be told again.